Don't blink. Don't scroll. If you think you've heard everything about prison stories, you're wrong. Subscribe now, because what you're about to hear, most people inside never live long enough to tell. The call came in at 2:17 a.m. No sirens. No panic. Just a quiet, coded message sent across internal lines inside Rikers Island. Unit C-74. Possible missing inmate. No visual confirmation. Inside a place like Rikers, people didn't just go missing. They were accounted for, counted, locked, documented, every hour, which meant if someone disappeared, something had already gone very wrong. Correction Officer Lena Alvarez was halfway through her shift when the message reached her. 29 years old, sharp-eyed, and only 8 months into working at Rikers, she still believed in procedure. That belief was about to break. Stay in your post, her supervisor had told her over the radio. But something in his voice felt off. Flat. Too calm. Like he already knew more than he was saying. Lena ignored the order. By the time she reached C-74, the corridor lights were flickering. That never happened. Not here. Not in one of the most controlled detention facilities in the country. The air felt heavy. Silent in a way prisons are never silent. No shouting. No banging. No voices. Just the low hum of electricity. And something else. Something wrong. She approached cell 19. The door was locked. But inside, empty. The mattress was still warm. The thin blanket folded like someone had just stood up and walked out. No signs of struggle. No forced entry. No broken bars. Nothing. And yet, no inmate. She checked the name on the door. Marcus Reed. Age 34. Held without bail. Non-violent charges. No gang affiliations. No history of escape attempts. He was the last person who should have vanished. Lena grabbed her radio. Control, confirm movement on inmate Reed. Silence. Then static. Then negative. Inmate Reed is secured. Her grip tightened. I'm standing in his cell. He's not here. Another pause. Longer this time. Too long. Officer Alvarez stepped away from the unit. That was when she knew. This wasn't a mistake. This was something being hidden. By morning, Marcus Reed officially didn't exist. His name was removed from the board. His file marked transferred. No destination listed. No paperwork filed. No transport log. Nothing. Like he had never been there at all. Lena sat in the staff break room, staring at her coffee. Untouched. Cold. Her mind replayed the empty cell over and over again. Prisons don't lose people. They process them. So where did he go? You're thinking too much. The voice came from behind her. Detective Aaron Cole. Mid-40s. Transferred in quietly from an outside agency just 2 weeks ago. No one knew much about him. Which, in a place like Rikers, meant everything. He sat across from her, without asking. You saw something you shouldn't have, he continued. Lena frowned. You already know. He gave a small shrug. I know enough. She leaned forward. Then tell me what's going on. Cole studied her. Not her face. Her reaction. Like he was deciding something. Then he said quietly. This isn't the first time. The words landed heavy. What do you mean? Missing inmates. Quiet transfers. Files disappearing. Lena shook her head. That's not possible. He didn't argue. He just slid a folded piece of paper across the table. Inside, 3 names. All inmates. All marked transferred. All with no records. Her pulse started to rise. When? Last 6 months. Why hasn't anyone reported this? Cole leaned back. Because everyone who gets close stops asking questions. The room felt smaller. Or they disappear too. That night, Lena went back to C-74. She wasn't supposed to. But rules didn't mean much anymore. Not after Marcus Reed vanished into thin air. The corridor was quieter than usual. Light stable now. Everything normal again. Too normal. She walked to cell 19. Empty. Clean. Reset. Like nothing had ever happened. But she noticed something new. A scratch on the inside wall. Low. Almost hidden. She crouched down. Ran her fingers across it. Letters. Rough. Carved in a hurry. 4 words. Not transferred. Still here. Her breath caught. Still here? That made no sense. Unless the transfer never happened. Unless Marcus Reed never left Rikers at all. A noise echoed from the end of the corridor. Metal. Soft. Controlled. She turned. A door. One that should have been locked. Slowly closing. Lena moved toward it. Every instinct told her to stop. She didn't. The door led to a restricted maintenance hallway. No cameras. No regular access. She pushed it open. Darkness. Cold air. And the faint smell of something old. Unused. Forgotten. She stepped inside. The door shut behind her. Too fast. Too final. Her heart started pounding. Hello. No answer. Just the echo of her own voice. She turned on her flashlight. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing a narrow corridor leading deeper underground. Rikers wasn't supposed to have basements like this. Not documented ones. She moved forward anyway, each step louder than the last. The deeper she went, the colder it got. Then, a sound. Not metal. Not machinery. A voice. Faint. Weak. From behind a wall. Lena froze. Listened carefully. There it was again. A whisper. Help. Her blood ran cold. She followed the sound. Found a solid concrete wall. No door. No opening. Nothing. But the voice was right there. Behind it. She slammed her hand against the wall. Who's there? Silence. Then, Reed. Her heart skipped. Marcus Reed. He wasn't gone. He wasn't transferred. He was still inside Rikers. Buried somewhere no one was supposed to find. Lena stepped back slowly. Mind racing. This wasn't just a mistake. This was something hidden. Something organized. Something dangerous. And if Marcus Reed was still alive, then someone had put him there. And they were still watching. A light suddenly flicked on behind her. Blinding. She turned sharply. Standing at the end of the corridor was a man in a correction officer uniform. Older. Calm. Too calm. She had never seen him before. He spoke one sentence. Low. Cold. Controlled. You weren't supposed to find this. The door behind him locked with a heavy metallic click. And Lena realized she wasn't investigating a disappearance anymore. She had just become part of it. The light stayed on. Bright. Unforgiving. Lena Alvarez didn't move. Neither did the man blocking the corridor. For a moment, the world shrank to that narrow strip of concrete beneath Rikers Island. No sound, no backup, no way out. Then the man stepped forward. Slow. Measured. Like he had done this before. You're new, he said. Not a question. A fact. Lena kept her voice steady. Who are you? He ignored that. Instead, his eyes shifted slightly toward the wall. Toward the voice. Toward Marcus Reed. That told her everything she needed to know. You can hear him, the man said quietly. Lena didn't answer. Silence was safer now. But he smiled. Not friendly. Knowing. That's the problem with people like you, he continued. You hear things you shouldn't, and then you think you can fix them. Lena's grip tightened around her flashlight. You're holding inmates down here, she said. Why? Another step closer. You're asking the wrong question. Then give me the right one. Now he stopped. Just a few feet away. Close enough for her to see the details. Older uniform, no visible name tag. Eyes that had seen too much and cared too little. The right question, he said softly, is why no one's ever stopped us. That word. Us. This wasn't one man. This was a system. A hidden one. Lena's mind raced. How many, she asked. He didn't answer immediately. But the pause was enough. More than you'd believe. The voice behind the wall let out another weak sound. A reminder. Marcus Reed was still alive. Still trapped. Still waiting. Lena took a slow step backward. People will notice. The man shook his head slightly. They don't. You erase them? We process them. The same word she had believed in just hours ago. Now it felt different. Darker. What happens to them? She pressed. This time, he leaned in slightly. Lowered his voice. They disappear where paperwork can't reach. Lena's chest tightened. This wasn't about discipline. Or control. This was something else entirely. Something off the books. Something permanent. Suddenly, a metallic noise echoed from above. Footsteps. Multiple. Fast. The man's expression changed for the first time. Annoyance. Then calculation. "You shouldn't be here," he said again. Lena didn't wait. She turned and ran. Back toward the corridor. Back toward the door. She hit it hard. Locked. Of course it was locked. Behind her, the man moved faster now. No more calm. No more control. She spun around, raising her flashlight like a weapon. "Don't come closer." He didn't stop. Didn't slow down. Because he knew something she didn't. That no one was coming to save her. Then, the door burst open. Light flooded in. Voices. Alvarez. Detective Aaron Cole. 2 uniformed officers behind him. The man froze. Just for a second. But it was enough. Cole's eyes locked onto him instantly. Recognition. Not surprise. Recognition. "You," Cole said. The word carried weight. History. The man's expression hardened. Then, without warning, he bolted. Past Lena. Straight through the doorway. Disappearing into the upper corridor. "Go," Cole shouted to the officers. They chased him. Boots echoing. Shouts fading. Then silence again. Lena leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Cole stepped inside slowly. His eyes moved to the wall. Then to Lena. "You heard him, didn't you?" She nodded. "Marcus Reed. He's behind there." Cole didn't look surprised. Just grim. He ran his hand along the concrete surface. "Yeah," he said quietly. "That's where they keep them." Lena stared at him. "You knew." "I suspected." "That's not the same thing." "No," he admitted. "It's worse." She stepped closer. "Then open it." Cole hesitated. Just for a moment. But Lena saw it. "Why are you hesitating?" "Because once we do this," he said, "there's no going back." "There's no going back anyway," she snapped. The silence between them said everything. He nodded once. Decision made. "Help me." They searched the wall. Edges. Seams. Anything out of place. Then Lena found it. A slight gap near the floor. Almost invisible. She pressed it. Nothing. Then harder. A click. The wall shifted. Just slightly. Enough. Cole grabbed the edge and pulled. The hidden door slid open with a grinding sound. And what it revealed changed everything. A narrow room. Concrete. Bare. No windows. No beds. Just chains fixed into the walls. And 3 people inside. Not 1. 3. Marcus Reed. Alive. Barely conscious. And 2 others Lena didn't recognize. All of them weak. Silent. Watching. Like they had forgotten what hope looked like. Lena stepped forward slowly. "Oh my God." Marcus tried to speak. Failed. Then finally, "You came back." Those words hit harder than anything. Because it meant he thought no one would. Cole's jaw tightened. He turned away for a second. Then back. Focus returning. "Get them out," he said. "We don't even know how deep this goes," Lena replied. "We don't have time to figure it out," he shot back. "Once they realize we open this." A loud alarm cut him off. Not the usual prison alarm. Different. Lower. More controlled. Lena's heart dropped. "They know." Cole nodded. "Yeah." Footsteps echoed from above again. More this time. More organized. Not random. Not confused. This wasn't a reaction. This was protocol. "Move," Cole said. They helped Marcus to his feet. The other 2 inmates struggled to stand. Weak. Unstable. But alive. Proof. That was all that mattered now. As they moved toward the exit, Lena looked back one last time at the hidden room. At the chains. At the silence it had held. And one thought hit her hard. If there were 3 here, how many more were hidden inside Rikers Island? They reached the corridor just as the first group of officers appeared at the far end. But something was wrong. They weren't rushing. They weren't shouting. They were walking. Calm. Controlled. Like they already knew the outcome. Cole stopped. Lena felt it too. This wasn't backup. This was containment. One of the officers stepped forward. Older. Commanding presence. He spoke calmly. "Detective Cole." Officer Alvarez stepped away from the inmates. Lena didn't move. Neither did Cole. "Who are you?" she asked. The man smiled slightly. "Someone who keeps this place running." Cole's voice dropped. "You're behind this." The man didn't deny it. Instead, he said something worse. "You opened a door that should have stayed closed." Behind Lena, Marcus Reed collapsed to one knee. Weak. Fading. Time was running out. The officer took another step forward. "Now you have a choice," he continued. "Walk away, and this disappears." Lena's grip tightened. "And if we don't?" The man's eyes hardened. "Then you disappear with it." The corridor fell silent. No backup. No witnesses. No escape. Just a decision. And Lena realized. This wasn't about saving inmates anymore. This was about surviving long enough to tell the truth. But as she looked at the line of officers in front of her, and the broken men behind her, one terrifying thought settled in. What if there was no truth left to tell? Because what they had just uncovered was bigger than both of them, and far more dangerous than they imagined. The silence in the corridor felt heavier than the walls themselves. No shouting, no chaos, just controlled breathing, and a line of officers standing between Lena Alvarez and the only exit out of Rikers Island. Detective Aaron Cole didn't lower his stance. Neither did Lena. Behind them, Marcus Reed struggled to stay upright, supported by the two other inmates pulled from the hidden room. Living proof that something deeply buried inside this prison had just been exposed. But proof didn't matter if no one lived to show it. The older officer at the front, calm, composed, untouched by urgency, took another slow step forward. "You've done enough," he said. "This ends now." Lena's voice came out steady, even though her pulse was racing. "No," she said. "It doesn't." The man tilted his head slightly. "You think anyone's going to believe you?" he asked. "Missing inmates? Hidden cells? No records? No witnesses? Everything you've seen disappears the moment you walk out of here, if you even make it that far." Cole stepped forward beside her. "Then why not arrest us?" he asked quietly. "Why not process us the normal way?" The man smiled. "Because normal doesn't work for situations like this." That was the confirmation. No more doubt. No more questions. This wasn't corruption at the edges. This was something built into the system itself. Lena looked around, counted quickly. 8 officers, all positioned deliberately, blocking every angle. They weren't here to negotiate. They were here to close the door. Forever. Marcus let out a weak breath behind her. "Don't let them," he whispered. Lena clenched her jaw. She wasn't thinking about protocol anymore, or her job, or even her safety. She was thinking about what would happen if she stepped aside, if she let this continue, if she became just another name erased from a board. She looked at Cole. He gave the smallest nod. That was enough. Lena took one step forward. "So here's the truth," she said, her voice cutting through the silence. "You've been hiding people, not transferring them, not processing them, just locking them away where no one can find them." The officer didn't react. "You built a system inside a system," she continued. "And you think that makes you untouchable." A pause. Then the man spoke again. "It makes us necessary." That word hung in the air. Necessary. Like this was justified. Like this was protection. Necessary for what? Cole asked. The man's eyes shifted slightly. Not nervous. Measured. "For keeping control," he said. "You think this place runs on rules? It runs on fear. And sometimes people need to disappear to keep that fear alive." Lena felt something inside her shift. Not fear. Not hesitation. Resolve. "Then it ends tonight." The man's expression hardened. "No," he said quietly. "It ends with you." The officers moved. Not rushing. Not chaotic. Precise. Like they had rehearsed this moment. Cole reacted instantly. He grabbed Lena's arm. "Move." They turned, pulling the inmates with them, heading back toward the maintenance corridor, the only place not fully controlled. Behind them, footsteps accelerated. Commands echoed. The controlled calm was gone now. This was escalation. They reached the hidden door just as one of the officers lunged forward. Cole shoved it open. Inside, they stumbled through. Lena slammed the panel shut behind them. The lock clicked into place. For a moment, silence again. But it wouldn't last. They'll get through, Lena said. Cole nodded. Yeah, we just need time. For what? He reached into his jacket, pulled out a small device. A recorder. Lena stared at him. You recorded everything? Not everything, he said. But enough. Her breath caught. Enough to expose them? Enough to start something, he replied. That wasn't the same thing. But it was something. A loud hit the wall. Then another. They were trying to break through. Fast. Marcus collapsed again, barely conscious. The other two inmates looked like they were fading too. Time was gone. What's the plan? Lena asked. Cole looked at the narrow corridor stretching deeper underground. Then back at her. There's an old service exit, he said. Not on the official maps. I found it when I started digging into this place. And it still works? He didn't answer. Which meant, maybe, they didn't have another option. They moved, dragging, supporting, pushing forward through the narrow, cold passage. Behind them, the sounds grew louder, closer. Metal tearing, voices shouting. They were coming through. The corridor twisted, turned, narrowed, then opened into a small, rusted steel door. Cole rushed to it, pulled, stuck. He tried again, harder. Nothing. Lena's heart dropped. No. Another echoed behind them. The hidden door had given way. Light spilled into the corridor. They were seconds away. Move. Lena shouted. Cole stepped back, then drove his shoulder into the door. Once. Twice. On the third, it gave, bursting open into cold night air. Fresh. Sharp. Real. They stumbled outside, onto rough ground behind the outer perimeter of Rikers Island. For a moment, they were free, but it didn't feel like victory. Not yet. Cole turned back toward the door, eyes sharp. They won't follow out here, he said. Why not? Because out here, they can't control the story. Lena looked at the recorder in his hand, at Marcus Reed, barely alive, at the other two survivors. Proof. Real. Breathing. Everything depended on what happened next. Sirens sounded in the distance. Real ones this time. External. Not controlled. Not contained. Cole let out a slow breath. It's starting, he said. Lena stared back at the massive prison behind them. Dark. Silent. Unchanged. Like nothing had happened inside. And maybe, for most people, nothing had. Because the truth wasn't loud. It didn't announce itself. It had to be carried out. Protected. Fought for. And even then, it could still disappear. Marcus's weak voice broke through her thoughts. They're still in there. Lena closed her eyes for a second. Then opened them again. Focused. Determined. I know. She looked at Cole. This isn't over. He nodded. No. It's just exposed. But as the sirens grew louder, and the first lights approached from beyond the island, a darker thought settled in her mind. Exposure didn't mean justice. It didn't mean change. And it definitely didn't mean safety. Because somewhere inside that prison, behind locked doors and buried systems, there were still secrets no one had found. And people who would do anything to keep them hidden. Even now, even after everything. As Lena turned away from the prison one last time, one question stayed with her. Not about what they had uncovered, but about what they hadn't. Because if 3 people had been hidden, how many more were still waiting in the dark? And how many stories had already been erased, without anyone ever knowing they existed? If you think this story ends here, it doesn't. Because some truths don't stay buried. They wait. And when they come back, they don't come back quietly.